Let's have a look at this first question then, Phil.
Make it an easy one.
Okay, cool. All right, first question.
Turning this so much.
What are some of your favourite things about being a dad?
Oh, what are some of my favourite things about being a dad?
Getting to do things that I want to do, but using the excuse that they want to do it, so I can do it as well. You know,
Yeah.
little cheeky one.
I think laughs, just the banter, especially now that my kids are older.
Yeah.
That you know takes place in the house. I've seen them grow in the church, in life, into who they are now. So I mean that's one, another good thing really. So.
Yeah, I think you always look at the peak times like family holidays and special things like that. Take them to theme parks, that sort of thing. When they might sort of force me to go on a ride that I don't want to go, but that sort of thing is funny when you look back on it,
Yeah.
Especially Josiah, it always forces me to go on these really bad roller coasters and stuff, and he's laughing his head off, and I'm hanging on for dear life. But yeah, he gets his thrills out of as watching his dad panic. But yeah, but you look back and laugh at all those times, so it's just building those memories.
Right off the bat, a sense of responsibility. Having children is complete game. I mean, you'll know it's a complete game changer. And so that whole sense of responsibility and intentionality as well. You can't muck about. I love it, and I can have the worst day at work. Stressful, dealing with difficult clients, whatever. And I'll walk through the door, and my children, with Zachariah and Asher, Elliot's 3 weeks old, so she's not running, but certainly Zachariah and Asher have got this sort of tradition where they'll just run at me, full pelt, run at me, and all of that negativity just goes away because they're just so happy to see daddy, and yeah, that does something on the inside of me for sure.
The thing about being a dad for me, I mean, it's such a gift, and I think there's an element of it that has made me grow in my walk with Christ as well, because when you have a child, right, you suddenly get a glimpse of the heart of God the Father, for us. Yeah. But also that childlike nature that Jesus tells you to have, like you see in your kids. Yeah. And so I feel like I've really grown in it. But also just like life moments, like memories, and stuff like. Your kids do some crazy stuff, don't they? Like,
just a bit.
I mean,
oh, man.
like even, I mean, good or bad, they're kind of memories, right?
Yeah.
And you can come back and laugh. Like the way they express love towards you,
it's
as a
pure,
dad.
isn't it?
It's so pure.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful. Like I think Josh has kind of memorised it, so I don't know, but he's just got this thing he's saying in a moment. He's like, "I love you, Daddy. You're the bestest ever."
Oh, man.
But the thing is, when you hear him say that, it's like he really means it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you don't, and this is great. You don't feel like the bestest ever, like all the time, and he will come out with that.
Yeah.
It's just
Melts you.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
like it's not another feling like it.
Yeah.
There really isn't another feeling like it.
Completely. And you know what? It's really interesting because I've had a recent conversation with Zachariah, who's 8 now.
Yeah.
He's starting to get his own take on the world. And so, what I'm finding an interesting challenge, but enjoying, is trying to help him navigate through some of the big issues that I don't have the answer to, but the answers are in the Bible. So we've talked about biblical manhood. What does a biblical marriage look like, right? And so there are all of these different things that are happening in the world. Well, take him back to the Bible. And so that conversation I was having with Zachariah, I said to him, 2 of my main responsibilities as a dad is to always tell him the truth. Yeah. And not the truth based on my opinion, but the truth based on the living word. Yeah. And to protect him. And so enjoy, yes, but Lord, help me as I navigate that, because those 2 things are huge, right?
Grace.
Yeah,
Grace
completely
definitely required.
Completely.
Yeah.
I would say the responsibility of knowing that there's this child who is kind of dependent on you. So it kind of like brings out that kind of whole, you being a father, you being a man, you being that protector over the household. So that's definitely one I would say. And just seeing her smile, like
Yeah.
when she just comes and looks at you, and then she like on the other side of the other side of the room, and then like she like runs all like crawls towards you. That kind of smile and that kind of embrace is really, really amazing.
Yeah. With the responsibility bit, would you say like that it's exciting as well, in a way?
Yeah, it's kind of a weird one because you feel that kind of, it can be daunting at the same time, but I think it's something that I feel like as men allows you to kind of really like step up and be like, oh, like there's an importance to that I really, really, really care about, which is great.
Yeah. Cool.
Shall I take another question?
Go for it.
All right, next one. How has fatherhood changed your view of masculinity?
Ooh, cool. I'd like to have a bit of a, known in advance.
Read that one again?
Well, let's have a moment to think about this. How has fatherhood changed your view of masculinity? Let's just have a moment. Lapsus.
How has fatherhood changed your view of masculinity? I'm glad that's going to you first, because that's going to give me a bit of time to think. Oh, my goodness me.
God, my goodness.
Yeah, that's tough.
A lot has to do with how they observe me, because you can talk to kids all you like, but it's how they observe you that I'm conscious of. I know that they observe how I am with Icy, my wife, and they look at what a marriage is like. So you're actually forming a view of masculinity to them just through how I am with Icy. So if I'm being gentle, if I'm serving her, if I'm helping out and sharing in all the roles at home and all that, they see that role, that version of masculinity. That is, me and Icy are a team. We're trying to run the family as a team together, and we're putting Jesus at the centre. If they see us trying to put Jesus at the centre of our marriage, they see masculinity that puts Jesus first and is not. I was never one, masculinity, you think going down the gym. I was never one for the gym, but my boys are always down there anyway, so they've done that on their own. So I'll never show them that, they've taught that themselves. But hopefully they can see a God-centered life, and that if you have Jesus as your example, being gentle, looking out for the ones that need help, the needy, and and stuff like that, I think hopefully they see that version of masculinity.
Yeah, definitely being an example in a house, because you're being seen all the time, so I pick up everything over the years as well, and just being an example in word and in deed, and how you live your life is is the way that I've tried to be as a father over the years. So
If I think back to how I used to view masculinity, this is sort of BC, before Christ, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, the really masculine man was probably the most physically dominant, right? Physically strong and the alpha male, right? Go into a room like a silverback gorilla and just own that space. That's the man.
Yeah.
And then equal parts, I suppose, my journey with Christ, but also fatherhood, has completely shifted that thing on its axis.
100%.
Completely. You can have the biggest muscles and have the weakest character. But actually, what is a masculine man for me now is one who's centered and rooted in Christ, 100%, but also someone who's got a really strong character.
Yeah.
And I think as a father to my 3 children, the thing that I need to let permeate out of me is character.
100%.
My principles. Why do I do what I do? Why do I say what I say? Why do I act in the way that I act? And it always has to flow back to Jesus Christ and back to His word. Do I get it right? No. No. Do I get it right all the time? No, of course not. Like going back to what you said earlier on, grace. We need the grace of God to be able to do this. But ultimately for me, fatherhood has changed my view in masculinity in terms of the example that I set for my children.
Yeah.
In terms of, right, okay, why am I telling Zachariah to do certain things? Why am I telling Asher to behave in a certain way? well, it's all about what we believe and where we're rooted and grounded.
Yeah.
So that's kind of it for me.
It's true, isn't it? I think probably a good character talking about Moses, and the thing that's highlighted about him is meekness, right? But meekness isn't weakness.
Yeah.
I love it. It's humility, and it's a strength, and it's under control.
Under control, yeah.
You know, under control, and I think that's kind of it, where it should be pitched, don't you think?
Yeah.
I think a little bit, and I think they should see Dad and see someone who's strong, but they should also see someone who's humble and is teachable and is learning and is quick to own his own mistakes as well.
Big time.
You know, when we get it wrong,
Big time.
we have to put it right with our kids, because that's what we want them to do.
Yeah.
But I first have to model that. We have to model that, you know, in our house.
It's allowed me to be able to ask others for help, not just to kind of think insular a lot of the time. It's kind of forced me to be like, well, what do I do about this, or how do I do about what do I need to do about this situation? And a lot of the time as well, especially around the house, I am cooking and cleaning like a house husband that has never house husband before. Like, I'm making sure that my wife is fed, so that she's got the right amount of energy to be able to tend to the baby, and I'm just making sure that she's got everything that she needs, because you know, you have a lot of these tropes of masculinities, like, you know, the man's not meant to be doing this, X, Y, and Z. The man's meant to be doing everything. He's meant to be holding as much down as he possibly can.
100%.
So I feel like, it's definitely challenged my view on masculinity greatly. We'll do for the next one. So I'll just pick the next one up. Okay. What does biblical manhood look like to you?
I think biblical manhood is using the example of Jesus for starters.
Showing consistency, showing commitment, you know, going to church every week, but being part of the family of God, being part of the church, serving. They see that.
Definitely,
they see the commitment every week when you're making sacrifice. And they, you know, hopefully they see me when I've got to worship on in the kitchen, or I'm reading my Bible in the morning. Hopefully they learn off that. Hopefully they learn my good bits, not my bad bits.
No. There's not too many of those. I think when I look at my dad, and I used to look at what he was doing, and you know, from a young age up to like what he is now, and I think having kids yourself, I'm now looking, you know, at just being a real father, a real, you know, man, after God's heart in everything that I try and do, and I mean, I'm hoping that, you know, that's what they see, and then that's what they pick up, and that when they get older, that, you know, that's something that they will take on as well. So it's a real privilege to be a dad. It's a real honour, and an absolute blessing to be a father, even at 3 in the morning when the cow pole's not working on them, or you feel like a cab driver all hours of the day.
I'm on 24-hour call out.
But it's an absolute privilege and a blessing to be a dad. I feel so blessed.
I mean, you just reminded me. I say to my kids when I'm in university, however far away you are, you know, I know you're getting old, you know, look after yourself, but anything happens, I'll drop and come.
Definitely,
And there was one point when Lauren was in Cornwall, you know, 7 hours drive away, that I needed to drop. Something happened, I need to drop and drive there, 9 o'clock in the evening, just got in the car and went, just grabbed a toothbrush and went. And actually did it in 5.5 hours, don't tell anyone. But being able to prove my words to her that I would drop everything and come down to you was nice, to be able to prove that my actions match my words.
Actions speak louder than words, don't they?
So,
same,
you know.
It encapsulates lots of things, but responsibility, big responsibility, leadership. First to yourself, lead yourself well, and then your family. I think it's I almost say, I've heard people describe it like priests in the home, or for the home and over the home. So I think for me it's like there's an intentionality that I'm growing into as well with praying and covering my home.
Yeah.
And all 3 of my kids. From please Lord let them sleep at night. Please let's get a bit of moments to ourselves.
Yeah.
But then genuine protection, throughout the day, and for God to watch over our house. So I think it's being a disciple as well, isn't it? It's being under Christ, who's the head of everything.
Yeah. Because Jesus Christ is the ultimate example of biblical manhood, right?
100%.
Biblical manhood.
I should have started there.
Well, I got you, bro. Yeah. I've covered you. Because when I think of Jesus, it's crazy because we've got the early depiction of Jesus being a helpless babe, but the reality of the risen Christ is so far from helpless, right? It's courageous, strong, sacrificial. Like, Jesus didn't waste time. He knew who he was, and he knew the purposes for which he'd been sent. So when I think about that, I think about, right, how can I apply those attributes to life? And it's exactly what you just said in terms of, covering your family with prayer, being deliberate, being intentional. The whole praying aspect, right? It's like a God-first approach to life in everything, not just family, but relationships, how you handle money, the whole shebang, really.
It's a leadership thing, isn't it? And it's leading your sphere that God places you in well. So the home is like one thing, but then also think about, work and other things. Is being a biblical man is operating well in the sphere that God places you in.
Completely.
And being a servant leader and stuff. So
completely.
Yeah.
Completely.
I feel like for us, we need to really look at Jesus as a perfect example of what a man is, really. And I feel like when Jesus walked on the earth, we see different aspects of what a man is. You see him going in the temple and driving people out. You see that part of it, but then you also see Jesus weeping with Lazarus' death. So I think it's being able to use all the attributes of a man at the right time, in the right way, for the right purpose. Yeah. Rather than it being like, I think that the way generation is working right now, society looks at manhood right now, is you have to be this tough guy, this bravado. You can't let people see your weaknesses. You can't show any fear. You have to be strong in every aspect of life. Whereas if we look at Christ, obviously Christ was strong, but he loved hard. He cared about those around him. He washed his disciples' feet. There was servitude in that. And I think that's what's really key when I look at biblical manhood. It's that kind of totality of what it is to be a man and caring about those who are around you. What about you though?
I completely agree with you, especially on the whole servitude thing. I think that's something I definitely relate to a lot. Knowing that Jesus served his disciples, he came from a serving aspect, has allowed me to be able to know that I can be the best man I can be for my home, for my family, by being able to serve as well as much as I can. And also knowing that I'm connected to God and praying, because Jesus also prayed. He also prayed, and he also separated himself to be able to pray. So then he knows that he can go and do that and come back and be able to lead the family in whatever way he's been instructed to. And in the same way that Jesus ultimately led the family that he had in the disciples and the people around him that looked to him for support. So I'd agree with you, definitely serving, for sure.
Perfect. Yeah.
Cool. Let's be fathers.
Don't kill me.
I saw a snail the other day and I took its shell off to see if it would go any faster. But if anything, it looked a bit more sluggish.
Oh, man, that's grim.